Hello everyone and welcome to the Black Box podcast. मेरा नाम है मोहम्मद उस्मान गनी और आई एम द फर्स्ट एंड ओनली पाकिस्तानी इन द वर्ल्ड विद FIM रेस लाइसेंस. मैं मोटरसाइकिल्स की रेसिंग करता हूँ एंड आई एम ऑल्सो अ कोच. मैं इस मकाम तक कैसे पहुँचा और हाउ डिड आई स्टार्ट माई जर्नी, what are some of my struggles? These are the things that I'll talk to you about today. To start off, मैं कराची से हूँ. कराची में पैदा पला बड़ा हुआ. आता जाता रहता था, बट आई थिंक जब मैं 2 या 3 साल का था हम सऊदी मूव हो गए थे. तो माई स्कूलिंग वॉज डन देयर, माई बेसिक एजुकेशन वॉज डन हेयर, बट वी यूज टू कम टू पाकिस्तान वेरी ऑफन, सो आई एम वेरी फेमिलियर विद पाकिस्तान. जब से छोटा था तब से हर बच्चे की तरह मुझे गाड़ी और बाइकों का बहुत शौक था. घर में बहुत सारी टॉय कार्स थी और एवरी बर्थडे, एवरी मोमेंट दैट आई कुड गेट, आई वुड आस्क फॉर अ टॉय कार और अ टॉय बाइक, और आई वुड ऑलवेज प्ले अराउंड विद देम. मॉडिफाई कर लिया, जो कर सकता था वो करता था, जस्ट लाइक एनी अदर किड. बट मेरे घर के अंदर काफ़ी सारी गाड़ियाँ थीं क्योंकि मेरे अब्बू और भाई को भी बहुत ज़्यादा शौक़ था गाड़ियों का. तो उसी लिहाज से दैट जस्ट फ्यूल्ड माई पैशन फॉर 4 wheels or 2 wheels, you can say. It was just a passion for machines, a passion for cars, a passion for vehicles. तो आई नेवर डिस्क्रिमिनेटेड बिटवीन कि यार ये गाड़ी अच्छी नहीं है, ये गाड़ी छोटी है, ये गाड़ी बड़ी है, इट हैज़ टू बी अ लग्जरी कार, इट हैज़ टू बी एन एक्जॉटिक कार. आई जस्ट लाइक द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ कार्स एंड मिनी व्हीकल्स. मुझे ट्रक्स का भी बहुत शौक था, एनीथिंग बेसिकली ऑन 4 wheels और बियॉन्ड. खैर जब मैं बड़ा हो रहा था तो आई यूज्ड टू वॉच अ लॉट ऑफ रेसेस. F1 देखता था, जो भी दिखता था, नेस्कार, बाइक रेसिंग, एनीथिंग. घर वालों को ये पता थी कि ये एक ऐसा बच्चा है जो कि द मोमेंट ही कैन रीच द पेडल्स ही विल टेक वन ऑफ द कार्स आउट एंड ही विल स्टार्ट ड्राइविंग. और ये लाजमी होगा, एंड बाय दैट टाइम आई ऑब्वियसली वोंट हैव अ ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस, सो आई विल डू समथिंग बेसिकली इलीगल. तो ताकि मैं ये काम ना करूं, घर पे एक एग्रीमेंट बन गया था और वो बहुत अच्छा एग्रीमेंट था. आई थिंक दैट बेसिकली हेल्प वेयर आई एम टुडे, कि आई कैन टेक एनी कार इन द हाउस बट आई कैन ओनली ड्राइव इट एट अ ट्रैक. जहाँ मैं रहता था वहाँ से 80 किलोमीटर दूर एक ट्रैक था, रीम सर्किट के नाम से, रियाद के अंदर. और द एग्रीमेंट वॉज कि आई कैन टेक एनी कार एंड आई कैन जस्ट ड्राइव इट एट द ट्रैक एज लॉन्ग एज आई एम नॉट ड्राइविंग ऑन द रोड until I get my driving license. So I used to almost drive every other weekend at the track. Track days होते थे. I was probably I was the youngest driver on the track, क्योंकि वहाँ पे सब लोग जो थे वो काफ़ी बड़े थे मुझसे उम्र में. But it was just fun driving around on the track, क्योंकि आपको एक चीज़ का पता होता है कि there are no cars, no traffic or anything of such sort. You're not breaking any laws. You're in a controlled environment, so it's much safer. सो आई यूज़ टू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ फन. आई यूज़ टू ड्राइव एट द ट्रैक. गाड़ियाँ लेके गए, एंड इसी दौरान काफ़ी सारे एक्सीडेंट भी हुए, बिकॉज इट्स पार्ट ऑफ रेसिंग, इट्स पार्ट ऑफ बीइंग ऑन द ट्रैक. लेकिन नन ऑफ माई पेरेंट्स और एनी वन एवर गॉट एंग्री एट मी, मेनली बिकॉज दिस वॉज द एग्रीमेंट दैट आई डोंट डू एनी ऑफ दिस ऑन द रोड, आई डू दिस ऑन द ट्रैक. और जब मैं ट्रैक पे चलाता था तो उसके बाद आई नेवर फेल्ट द नीड टू लीव माई हाउस लेट एट नाइट छुप के गाड़ी चला रहे हैं बाहर रोड के ऊपर, बिकॉज ट्रैक के ऊपर आप 10 लैप भी कर लें तो योर एड्रेनलिन रश काइंड ऑफ गोज अवे. यू हैव डन ऑल ऑफ दिस, जब आप बाहर आते हैं यू आर जस्ट रिलैक्स्ड. तो इट वॉज अ प्रीटी गुड सॉर्ट ऑफ अरेंजमेंट दैट आई एम वेरी थैंकफुल फॉर. काफ़ी अर्सा मैंने वो किया. आई यूज टू गो फॉर कार्टिंग वेरी ऑफन. तो वो एक था कि आई ऑलवेज स्टेड कनेक्टेड टू मोटर स्पोर्ट्स वन वे और अनदर. खैर कुछ अरसे बाद आई स्टार्टेड रेसिंग कार्स. वो क्लब रेसिंग होती थी छोटी छोटी, एवरीबडी वुड गेट टुगेदर, अ फ्यू रूल्स हियर एंड देयर, एंड वी वुड रेस. सो इट वॉज अ लॉट ऑफ फन. एक दिन मेरा एक दोस्त आया और ही वॉज ऑन अ बाइक, ही वॉज ऑन अ स्पोर्ट्स बाइक, एंड ही हैड अ ट्रायम्फ बैक देन. तो ही ऑफर्ड मी हिज बाइक. क्या कहने लगा कि यू आर ऑन द ट्रैक, ऑन द कार्स एंड स्टफ, ट्राई एंड सी इफ़ यू लाइक द बाइक. अब मुझे बाइक चलानी इतनी अच्छी नहीं आती थी, दो स्पोर्ट्स बाइक्स होती हैं, बट आई न्यू हाउ टू राइड अ बाइक, बिकॉज एनी वन दैट ग्रोज अप इन सऊदी और एनी वन दैट एक्चुअली इवन विजिट सऊदी वुड नो, सऊदी के अंदर वीकेंड पे ज़्यादा कुछ करने को होता नहीं है. तो अवर बेसिक वीकेंड्स वुड बी, वी वुड ड्राइव आउट इनटू द डेजर्ट, और वहाँ पे हम वी वुड कैंप एंड स्टफ. सो जब सब लोग कैंप कर रहे होते थे, आई हैड लाइक अ डर्ट बाइक जो कि मैं ऊपर नीचे करता रहता था. सो आई हैड अ बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ राइडिंग अ बाइक. बट व्हेन आई टुक दैट फ्रेंड्स बाइक आउट, I will always remember that moment as it was the turning point for me, how that sort of converted me from 4 wheels to 2 wheels. एक काफ़ी famous saying है कि when you drive a car, that's like watching a movie, whereas if you ride a bike, that's like being in a movie, and that's very very true. क्योंकि गाड़ियों की रेसिंग और गाड़ी चलाना बेसिकली इज़ 80% ऑफ वॉट योर मशीन्स केपेबल ऑफ एंड 20% ऑफ द ड्राइवर स्किल. क्योंकि इट डिपेंड्स ऑन हाउ मच हॉर्स पावर यू हैव ऑन द कार, हाउ डज इट टर्न, व्हाट टायर्स, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. वेयरएज इन बाइक्स इट्स कम्प्लीटली द ऑपोजिट. इट्स 80% राइडर स्किल एंड 20% बाइकर्स, जो बाइक की आपकी कैपेसिटी होती है एंड केपेबिलिटी होती है. तो होता ये है कि you can put a amateur bike rider on a $1 million bike and he won't be able to ride it, he won't be able to go around fast in it, whereas आप किसी experienced rider को आप जो CD70 आती है पुरानी, आप उस पर भी बिठा दें, he will do a phenomenal job on that. तो खैर I went out and I was like, that's it, I'm buying a bike and now I want to do this. I went out and I bought my first bike, which was a used bike. It was a CBR 600, Honda CBR 600 RR. मैंने ली और I had basic safety, which was just the helmet and gloves, और वो भी इसलिए because it was just the rule that I had to abide to. मेरी भी वही mentality थी कि यार without helmet riding is cool and stuff, but I couldn't do it due to the laws. They are very strict in Saudi. खैर काफ़ी अर्सा मैंने बाइक चलाई, ग्रुप्स थे एंड एवरीथिंग, बट एक दिन मेरा घर को वापस आ रहा था रात को और मुझसे कुछ आई थिंक अबाउट किलोमीटर अहेड ऑफ मी कुछ 2 गाड़ियों का एक्सीडेंट हुआ था, तो उनसे ऑयल लीक हो गया था रोड के ऊपर, विच आई डिडंट रियली सी. मैं खुशी खुशी बाइक चलाता हुआ आ रहा था. इट वॉज ओनली व्हेन आई अप्रोच दैट प्लेस एंड आई वॉज डूइंग मे बी 110 किलोमीटर्स पर आवर, नॉट टू फास्ट. I skidded because obviously oil होता है, आप उसके बाद कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते and you're already 2 wheels less. So when I fell, I skidded for I think about a good 500-600 meters because of that speed. And my bike hit a pavement और मेरी बाइक के literally 2 टुकड़े हो गए. So the chassis actually broke. वो बाइक मेरे घर में आज तक खड़ी हुई है, उसके दोनों टुकड़े भी खड़े हुए हैं. Like it's just a memory that I have. So I have that bike in my house. And when I got up, like after the crash, I looked down and I had no clothes left on one side. And my pelvic bone was actually sticking out of my body. So that was a big wake-up call for me that, this is not the thing that I want to get myself into or indulge myself into. Obviously, घर के ऊपर उसके बाद it was a nightmare. I wasn't allowed to sit on a bike. I wasn't allowed to look at a bike. They were like, stick to the cars and that's about it. तो वो एक, it was an odd sort of predicament कि किस तरीके से, how do I convince my parents that I want to ride a bike again, because I knew that's what my true passion is and that's what I would like to do. तो खैर कुछ अर्सा गुजरा, I recovered from it and then I eventually managed to convince my parents that I will buy it and I will only go out on the track and stuff like this, and I bought myself another bike. I bought myself a Suzuki GSXR 600. I bought a brand new bike and वो मैं खुशी खुशी and then I started getting a bit more कि वो घर वालों को convince करने के लिए I bought myself a jacket and I bought myself a boot and stuff like that. So gradually the safety levels were increasing. वो करता रहा and then eventually I had to move, so I moved to Dubai. Now when I moved to Dubai, I used to live across, and this was coincident that I lived across a place जहाँ पे track था. So right across from my house there was Dubai Autodrome, which is an FIA sanctioned circuit जिसके ऊपर F1 की testing भी होती है and stuff like that. So every morning I'd wake up, have my coffee in my balcony, I would hear cars or bikes going around and I would be very intrigued by and fascinated कि क्या हो रहा है. One day I went to the track, मैंने कहा क्या हो रहा है. They were like, this is the track day, this is how it's done. Bikes also go around the circuit. Would you like to join? Sure. So मैंने जो है वो उनकी requirement थी कि you have to buy yourself a full suit, all the safety requirements. मैं गया, मैंने सूट खरीदा and I was out on the circuit. It was one of the best experiences of my life, just being out on the circuit for the first time. I will always remember that. That first track day was absolutely incredible. मेरे अंदर एक आदत ये है कि whatever it is that I do, I like to learn as much as possible I can. Almost like I become obsessed with that thing. And that was the same thing with track riding a bike. I became obsessed with it. मैंने videos देखी, books पढ़ी, लोगों से बात करी, whatever I can. And one of the things that I also have is I will always accept the fact that I don't know everything. And I wish, a lot more people were like this in this world, that accepted the fact that they will never know everything. मैं जिससे सीख सकता हूँ, सीखता हूँ. Wherever I go, I know there are people in this room that know things way more than I know, and I would be more than happy to learn stuff from them. And I think that helped me in my journey to become a racer. So I started doing this, and without any formal coaching as such, I was just doing track days. I had no intentions of racing. एक दिन एक साहब मेरे पास आए track day के ऊपर, and I remember the guy. He was an Irish guy. He used to race in Ireland, back in the UK and stuff. And he said, "Do you race?" And I simply told him, "No, I don't race." So he said the lap times that you're doing on a track day, just during the practice, are actually as good as the lap times that the guys in the front pack do in a race. So you will be very competitive and you should race. I go, chale, I'll give it a try. Why not? I don't like saying no to things and new experiences. I'll do that. So I joined the first race season. Uski jo requirement thi, you have to build a bike to a certain spec, safety, everything. I did all the documentation. Acha. उसके लिए to be able to race you need a FIM racing license. Now racing license के लिए आपको 3 टेस्ट करने पड़ते हैं. First test is basically a theory test जिसके अंदर they ask you questions such as what do each of the flags signify, what happens if you have a breakdown, basic track etiquettes so you understand that tracks are different and how to behave on a track. So stuff like that. जो दूसरा टेस्ट होता है, that's the main test, that's the on-track assessment. On-track assessment में ये होता है कि there is a senior rider who has been coaching and racing all over the world. They come and they ride with you on the track. And what they do is they don't check how fast you are, but what they check is are you predictable? Do you know how to race? And most importantly, are you comfortable with other bikes very close to you at high speeds? So what I mean by this is you would be at 280, 290, 300 kilometers per hour, and that guy will come right next to you and his elbows will be out, so it will be touching literally at you and he will brake in front of you. So क्योंकि ट्रैक के ऊपर this is common, right? When you are racing, everyone's fighting for the win. जब आपकी रेस स्टार्ट होती है, कोई 30-35 बाइकें होती हैं, and we all get into the same corner at the same time at the same speed. So when you are on the floor leaning, so आपकी elbow और आपकी knee ज़मीन के ऊपर होती है, someone's front tire will be right at your head. So मेरे काफ़ी सारे सूट हैं जिनके ऊपर टायर मार्क्स हैं because you just have to live with it. So you have to be very comfortable doing this at a very high speed. This is what they check. Are you comfortable or not? And काफ़ी सारे लोग, that's where they fail. The moment he comes close to you, they either get too scared or they will crash. So alhamdulillah, I passed that test. Then you have to do a medical assessment. They check everything. Are you okay? You don't have any eyesight issues, etc., etc. And if you have, they'll make an exception. They'll give you the guidance. मैंने वो किया, pass हो गया. I got my race license. People think it's easy, but it takes at least 3 to 4 years of riding on the track to be able to get to that point. So all that 4 years of training is worth getting that license. खैर license लिया, race season के लिए sign up किया. 2 weeks before my first race, I was practicing, and this I will always regret it. Maybe, I don't know. I was practicing. I came into a corner. I got on the brakes. I made a mistake. Front slide हुआ, and then it threw me over. I broke both my legs. I broke both my kneecaps. My legs were shattered. And the worst case was that I tore my ligament on my left knee. So that ligament had to be replaced. I couldn't race. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything for a whole year. So वो पूरा race season miss हो गया. अच्छा, this was very depressing, devastating, and I couldn't ride. I couldn't do anything. And at some point I thought, this sport is not worth it. I might not do it. But khair, again, me being me, my passion, my obsession with bikes, I was like, लोगों के accident होते हैं at international level and they always bounce back from it. I'll come back from it. Khair, I eventually, after a year, things started to recover. I got better. Khair, lekin not everything recovered because my ligament on my left knee, till this day, it still hurts. When I wake up in the morning, I have to spend at least 10 minutes stretching. Otherwise, I cannot walk because it's just one of those things that will be with me for the rest of my life. And I've accepted that. काफ़ी सारी injuries ऐसी होती हैं. Khair, my race season starts, the new one, and this is my first race. I'm on it. Excited, right? It is a world of learning in just your first race. The good thing was that I won the first rookie championship. So पूरी championship के अंदर जो rookie championship होती है, these are the guys who are racing for the first time. I won the rookie championship in my first attempt. And not just my rookie championship. So होता ये कि आपकी 30 या 35 बाइकें होती हैं grid के अंदर, जिसके अंदर maybe 10 या 15 लोग are the rookies who are racing for the first time. But then there are also people who have been racing for years. You're on the same grid. So as I was racing, I was actually fighting with the top guys at the front. So I ended up on the podiums, and it was just an incredible feeling. From there on, alhamdulillah, Allah ne izzat di, people started speaking to me about sponsorships. Would you like to ride for us? I got offered a contract to ride for a team. So I started racing for them and, different here and there stuff. Since then, I've just been racing and I've been doing a lot of, racing, coaching. And after a while of 2 or 2.5 years, you can apply to get a coaching license where they see if you are fast enough, you have raced enough, you know what you're doing, and most importantly, can you teach? क्योंकि हर कोई सिखा नहीं सकता. People can be fast, but not everybody can teach. Teaching is a very different skill. So you have to go through an assessment over 7 months, and if you are that person who has a people's personality, who can speak to people, guide them, coach them, you will get the coaching license. Alhamdulillah, I applied for it, did the thing, and now I'm a coach as well. If I'm certified, I can go anywhere in the world and I can coach. So ये advantage है मुझे. वो करता रहा, काफ़ी सारे एक्सीडेंट हुए. You have setbacks when you are racing. काफ़ी सारी इस तरीके की चीज़ें होती हैं. Like I tell people and they don't believe me, I have 22 broken bones in my body. It is an unfortunate part of our sport, but it is what it is. You crash and you try and bounce back from it as quickly as possible. One of the most memorable races I have ever had was just earlier this year. I was P3 in the overall championship and I had 4 races to go. And I wanted to finish either P2 or P3. And in one of the races, last 3 laps, I was coming in, I was fighting for P3, or my front tire overheated and I made a mistake and I crashed really bad. I broke my hand, and ये वाला हाथ मेरी 2 जगह से टूटा था, and I broke my wrist, and my next race was just 2 weeks after. खैर हॉस्पिटल में थे, एंड नाउ आई एम डिस्कसिंग विद माई होल टीम कि क्या करना है. वी वर ऑल वेरी सैड. आई जेन्युइनली व्हेन आई क्रैश्ड, एंड इवन द एम्बुलेंस गाइज वर सरप्राइज, आई क्रैश्ड. आई सेट इन अ कॉर्नर जब तक एम्बुलेंस आई, and as soon as I got in the ambulance, I just started crying. And I cried all the way from there until the hospital, and they couldn't figure out if I'm in pain or what. Finally, they realized that I'm crying only because I've crashed and I have now lost my chances at P3. Mera haath, it was just mangled and it was hanging. And I was crying because, I couldn't make it to the P3, and I didn't want to I fought very hard for that spot. So, hospital mein the, wahan se nikla, cast on me, 2 weeks to go, what do we do? Luckily, my team is very, very good. They built the whole bike. Unhone puri bike, they got the bike up and ready again for the next race. Now it was just me battling against can I race or not. 2 weeks later, nobody expected. I arrived at the circuit and I was like, I'm going to do this race. Doctors had advised against it. They were like, obviously, you've broken your hand, you've broken your wrist, you shouldn't race. But I was like, I came this far not to only come this far. I wanted to make sure that I finish and see off the season. Last 2 races in the season, and I was like, I'm going to do it. You have to pass a fitness assessment, a medical assessment before you race, which I did. They make you usually do push-ups, pull-ups and stuff, just to make sure that you don't pose a danger to others or yourself when you're racing up, you fall or you pass out or anything of that sort. Alhamdulillah, I don't know how did I get that strength. Maybe it's just the passion. But I passed those tests and I arrived on the grid. I didn't do any of the practice sessions. I didn't do anything. I went in qualifying. I didn't even do my qualifying properly. I started 14th on the grid. Race start हुई है, and this is an unexplainable feeling. और ये उन लोगों को समझ में आएगी जो actually ride करते हैं, and the guys who have been on the track. When you close your helmets and the lights go out, it is an incredible feeling. It gives you such an adrenaline rush. You are closed off from the entire world. You don't know anything, including your name. All you know is it's 35 bikes. We are locked for the next 45 minutes, 27 laps, and we have to get out and we have to do our best in it. I started going for it. I started P14. I finished the race in P3. And I did 2 races and I finished both the races on P3. And that I will never forget. It was one of the most incredible races of my life. जब मैं वापस pit में आया था, my hands were swollen to a point where they couldn't take off my suit. It was only when I came back is when I realized how much my hands were hurting. It wasn't the smartest thing to do. I would not recommend anyone else do it. But it's just something that, in that moment seems like the right thing to do. और वो एक मौका ऐसा था कि I always have, the Pakistani flag on me, and one of the things that I was कि this is my moment, and if I finish P3, I'll be on the podium, and I'll be able to represent Pakistan, most importantly, at this international platform. So I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to go for it. So I think that really fueled my quick recovery or anything, I don't know how to put it, जिसकी वजह से I got to that point, and alhamdulillah, I finished the whole championship in P3. And there was a very nice article written about that, and they called me the Magnificent Muhammad for that race. So that became my, nickname in the paddock, and people laugh and joke about this. This is how racing is. Some of the struggles that you have with racing is that it requires a lot of fitness. And usually people जो मुझसे मिलते हैं, जो भी मुझसे मिलता है कि यार, you are racing at the international level and stuff, you probably just have a great life and you party out the whole week and you're enjoying yourself. It is the complete opposite. There's a darker side to it which people don't talk about, and they don't know because they're not part of it. My entire week is spent literally just working out. You need severe levels of stamina to be able to compete at this level. And this is what I do. I wake up in the mornings, I take my cycle, and I go out cycling. We will do in a single session maybe 180 kilometers, 220 kilometers of just cycling. It is single most boring thing to do if you're alone, because it's just, hours and hours on the go and you're cycling, but it helps you build that stamina that you need for racing. And especially with injuries and unfortunate, crashes and stuff, I cannot run. So it's very hard for me to run. So I have to do alternate workouts, which still keep me at that fitness level and which keeps me going. So it takes time, but these are some of the struggles that you do have to go through. Like, you have to be on a very strict diet. All my bikes, they're set up to my weight, which is 64 kgs. 1 kilo bhi zyada hota hai, and we have to change everything in the bike. Suspension, rear, front, setup, bike ka pura change hota hai, because now the bike's geometry is different because I'm heavier. So these are the things that you have to keep in account when you're racing. So I cannot eat whatever I want, I have to be on a strict diet all the way around. तो stuff like this sometimes get to your head. You really think to yourself, is it worth what I'm doing? But then when you get on a bike, you're like, yes, it is worth every single type of what I'm doing. So I'm very happy, I'm very blessed with what I'm doing. मेरा जो सबसे बड़ा एक ऑब्जेक्टिव है ज़िंदगी के अंदर, आई वुड से दिस इज़ माई विजन एंड दिस इज़ माई सॉर्ट ऑफ अल्टीमेट ऑब्जेक्टिव एंड गोल. अल्लाह ने मुझे इज़्ज़त दी है, मैं पाकिस्तान को रिप्रेजेंट कर सकता हूँ एक इंटरनेशनल लेवल के ऊपर. वॉट आई नो फॉर अ फैक्ट इज़ के पाकिस्तान के अंदर मुझसे कई गुना ज़्यादा टैलेंटेड लड़के हैं. एंड दीज आर गाइज हु वुड बी रेसिंग एट अ मच बिगर लेवल, हु वुड बी कम्पीटिंग एट द फोर फ्रंट ऑफ दिस चैम्पियनशिप्स, एंड आई नो दे हैव द स्किल्स. मैं पाकिस्तान जब भी आता हूँ मुझे देखता हूँ लड़के जो है, एंड दे हैव द पैशन. मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंटली, आप पाकिस्तान के अंदर लड़के के पास 70cc बाइक भी होगी ना, उसने उसको तैयार किया हुआ होगा. ही विल मेक श्योर दैट बाइक इज़ इनक्रेडिबल. उसके ऊपर वो सफाई करके सीट चेंज करेगा एंड एवरीथिंग. दैट शोज देयर पैशन. एंड द वे दे राइड दीज बाइक्स ऑन द रोड, इट्स वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट बिकॉज दे डोंट हैव अ प्लेटफॉर्म फॉर इट, बट दे स्टिल डू. लड़कों ने यहाँ पे इतना पैसा खर्च किया हुआ है. दे हैव स्पेंड मिलियंस टू बाय अ स्पोर्ट्स बाइक, बट दे डोंट हैव अ प्लेस टू राइड इट. They have unfortunately only the roads to ride it. The roads are filled with traffic, bumps, different things, this, that and there. And they don't have a place to ride these bikes. Unfortunately, क्या होता है? They have these bikes, they go out, they get frustrated, they make a mistake, and they unfortunately get into a crash and die. I have lost a very close friend of mine, and this is something that pushed me to only ride on the tracks. रात के 4 बज रहे थे. He was my childhood friend. We were on the road, and it was no one's fault. He was under the speed limit, 70 kilometers per hour. In front of me, he turned right, and the bike skid. And when the bike skidded, he hit his head on the divider, and unfortunately, he died. May God bless him with heaven. But कुछ नहीं कर सकते थे, उसकी गलती नहीं थी. He was wearing his full protection. It is what it is. Roads are dangerous, and we have to accept that fact. That night, since that night till now, I have never stepped foot on a bike on the road. मैं रोड पे चलाता ही नहीं. And now with my race contract, I'm not even allowed to ride on the roads. My race contract stipulates that anything that poses a danger to my life, I'm not allowed to do. So that includes riding a road bike or doing stuff like parasailing, paragliding, because obviously if I get injured into anything like this, then it's just money down the drain for the whole sponsorship, for the whole race season. I can't race. But this is something that my vision is to create a track in Pakistan. लड़कों के पास टैलेंट है, पैसा है, टाइम है, पैशन है, प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं है. एंड दिस इज़ द रीज़न दैट आई एम हियर इन पाकिस्तान एट द मोमेंट. I came with this objective that I will go and try and see who can I speak to, who do I need to talk to be the voice of all the bikers. And not just the bikers, people who drive fancy cars. पाकिस्तान के अंदर if somebody, a lot of people that I speak to, they're like, पाकिस्तान के अंदर तो गाड़ियाँ भी नहीं होंगी अच्छी, like you guys, I'll be like, no, you are wrong. पाकिस्तान के अंदर McLarens हैं, Ferraris हैं, you name it, like Lamborghinis हैं. पाकिस्तान में गाड़ियाँ भी हैं. And these guys are passionate, right? They build their JDM cars or Supras and all of these things, but they again don't have a place to go. वो क्या करते हैं, बेचारे रोड के ऊपर जाते हैं और वहाँ पर ड्रैग रेसेस करते हैं. They get harassed by the police, rightly so, because this is not the place to do your drag racing. They don't have a place, they get into crashes, people don't like them. People have this image that anyone with a fancy car or a sports car or a sports bike is a reckless person. And it's right? Because they see them doing all of this stuff on the roads. They don't have a place to do it anywhere else. So my objective is to try and build a track in Pakistan. I saw KPK government is doing an incredible job, phenomenal job. Just 3 or 4 months ago, they have launched KPK motorsports park plans for 100 million rupees that they are going to build a track. And I was very happy when I saw that. The only unfortunate problem was that the layout that they had designed is something that will not work. That layout is not going to work for cars or bikes. So I had fortunately a conversation with them, and I'm going to help them design a track that works. क्योंकि अगर आप इतना पैसा लगा रहे हैं, you would want a track that can host international events as well. Plus, I'm also speaking to a few people in Pakistan, in Karachi, in Lahore, to see if we can find space privately, a government ki support, but we build a track. Because what people need to understand is a track is not just for these hooligans or reckless bikers or drivers to go out and drive their car. It is a source of income for the country. It is a tourist destination. It is something that serves as a venue for a lot of different things. Dubai Autodrome, for an example, right? Or take any other circuit in the world, Mugello, Catalunya, Cartagena, all of these circuits. उसके ऊपर आप गाड़ियों की रेसिंग होती है, ड्रिफ्ट होती है, बाइक की रेसिंग होती है, ऑटो जो भी नई गाड़ी लॉन्च होती है उसके ऊपर they have those shows over there, concerts होते हैं, international events होते हैं. And when you have an international event, obviously people will fly in. That will aid your tourism. People will send in their cars, their machines that will help your import, export, whatever it is. You make money out of it. The country gets onto a spotlight. अगर कोई रेसिंग सर्किट होता है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई मीन अ सर्किट इन अ सेंस के कोई सीरीज़ है विच इज़ रेसिंग इन एशिया पैसिफिक, दे विल गो रेस इन इंडोनेशिया, मलेशिया, इंडिया, बुध सर्किट. there's nothing Pakistan ke andar. If Pakistan has a track, they will come to Pakistan, and that is how you will grow your motorsports community. That's how you will give these youngsters, the youth, a platform to drive and ride their sports cars that they have. And I'm here for that. I'm volunteering. I will help with whatever capacity I can. I have been on, all over the world. मैंने हर circuit के ऊपर bike चलाई है, and I know how these circuits work. I'm willing to help because this is what I would like to do for my country. I coach people, right? I coach celebrities. Sometimes they come to Dubai Autodrome and they request for me. It just helps, right? People from across the border also come and I coach and train them. It's just that there are no Pakistanis that I coach, and that's very unfortunate, and that hurts me. I would like to train the Pakistani guys. I would like to see more Pakistani representation on the grid. I would like to see the green flag on the grid. I'm the only one doing it at the moment. जब से पाकिस्तान आया हूँ, I've met so many guys. They have such a big passion for it, and it's incredible to see. I just want to fuel that passion a bit more in a structured way, in an organized way, give them a platform, have them ride on a track, and then you would be amazed at the incredible achievements these Pakistani boys will bring out. And not just in bike racing. I speak on car community, drag racing, because they have the talent, they have the skill. MashaAllah, Pakistani जिस स्पोर्ट्स में जाते हैं नाम कमाते हैं. क्रिकेट हो गई, हॉकी हो गया, स्नूकर हो गया. There is no doubt around the fact that Pakistanis are passionate people, skilled people, talented people. So what makes you think that they won't excel in this? I have no doubts, and I'm sure they will excel into this sport. So hopefully by the time I leave Pakistan in the next couple of weeks, I would have something solid that we are actually moving towards building a track. And once we have a track, that would be the start of a different era for motorsports in Pakistan. We need just one. That's it. Just one track, and people will come from all over Pakistan to that location. So inshallah, that's something that I would do. Other than that, on my personal racing front, I am going to race until I can. I'll put it this way. There is a certain time in your life where your fitness drops and then you don't get competitive. The day I'm not competitive, I won't race. Then I will just coach. I will go around, help people, make my own team and stuff like this, but I won't race. But until the time I'm fit, I will race. जब तक मैं कर सकता हूँ पाकिस्तान को रिप्रेजेंट करूँगा. If it's not on the bike, it's in the grid, it's in the paddock, it's in the garage, I will still do it whatever way I can. I want to try and portray a good image of Pakistan, because a bigger agenda on all of this, a bigger conversation, a bigger struggle is, as a Pakistani, as a Muslim, there are certain stigmas all around the world. People think, and what they see in media, it's a very different image of what Pakistanis are really like. So there are a lot of times when I meet different people in the paddock and they have absolutely the wrong image of Pakistanis or even Muslims in general. And I try and put that good image for them. No, what media tells you, it's not real. We are very different people. And this is something that I also want to change, right? And alhamdulillah, it's down to a point where my entire team, and it consists of all non-Pakistani people from different parts of the world right now, they all want to come to Pakistan. They are dying to come to Pakistan. They want to go to this place called Shogran. So, it's just funny. My entire team, they are from the UK. Some of them are Arabs, from Jordan, from different places. They know so much about Pakistan now that our conversations are, sometimes when we are ordering food, I'll ask them, guys, what do you want to eat? And all of them will say, biryani. And it's just hilarious, all of these guys just think, I want to have biryani or some Pakistani food. They are now to a point that they really want to come to Pakistan, and I hope, inshallah, once the COVID restrictions are away and life's back to normal, I'll be able to bring all of my team and others around as well into Pakistan. And fingers crossed, by then we have a track as well, so whenever we come, we all ride together on the circuit and on the track. So yes, this is, sort of what my life has been so far. This is what my journey has been so far. This is how I rose up to the international level of racing. And inshallah, कोशिश हमेशा जारी रहेगी कि I try and portray Pakistan in a much positive light and, score podiums and all the big achievements I can. There are some brands that based out of Pakistan that are supporting me. जो race suits होते हैं आपके, the ones that keep you protected in all of my crashes. There are different brands in the world जो कि मुझे sponsorship की offer करी थी, but I went with a company called Mass Leathers. They are based out of Pakistan. They also work with international brands, but I want to support Pakistan as much as I can and however I can. जो मेरी bike का भी design है, my entire team's livery, that's also by a Pakistani designer, Khurram. Red Bull Pakistan, they are also trying to support me in that as well. So any brand that's based out of Pakistan that wants to work with me, and if there is any way I can support them, I will do it. I have some really interesting plans for my new bike and the livery and everything. I will probably unveil them in the next couple of months. But whatever I can do for Pakistan, I will always do. And I just hope and I pray that inshallah we get a track soon in Pakistan. The entire biking community, the car community, everyone will be together on that. And you will see that recklessness will go down, considerably. All these accidents, all these crashes that you hear about on DHA के in the track के ऊपर या motorway के ऊपर bikes जो race करी, that will just go down significantly. And I can promise you that. I can promise you that factually and from a stats point of view, you will see a sharp decline in all these crashes the moment we get a track in Pakistan. I can put my name to it. I have experience. I've seen this. I've experienced it myself, and I know this will happen. So, full sort of drive in that agenda. And what I also appreciate is that I don't have a lot of exposure in Pakistan in a sense that this is a new sport. Not a lot of people know about it. So I'm always very thankful for any platform that gives me, sort of exposure and opportunity to talk to people about this sport, tell them, educate them. And Black Box Demo has been one of those. So they have helped me with this podcast. They have invited me. That's been very kind of them to speak to everyone, deliver my message, tell people that this is a sport. So I'm very thankful to them. It's a very cool place as well to hang out at. So if you're free, do come down around to Demo. And, I would like to extend my thank you to all the staff at Demo. They have invited me, and it's a very cool place. And I would love to come back again every time I come to Pakistan. So please subscribe to Demo Black Box podcasts on YouTube and all the other platforms that you can, on Instagram as well. And you would get to hear some really cool stuff and a lot of cool individuals coming by. Thank you.